Hello, hello. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I would like to remind our participants that our second part of the second day of our web conference will start at exactly 2 p.m. today. So while waiting for the other participants to appear, again, I'm encouraging our participants here to provide us your greetings using your respective language. So I am all the way here from Iloilo. I would like to greet you maayong hapon sa tanan, pagpanamyaw halin sa syudad sang pagpalangga, or greetings from the city of love, Iloilo City. We already have many participants who are also providing us their individual greetings using their respective language. We have Ma'am Jovelyn Valera. Maray na hapon po sa Indogabus from Bicol. Magandang hapon din po, ma'am. We also have Brian Luis Lazaro. Magandang hapon sa lahat. Edward Saravia, sir, good afternoon. Ma'am Rogelita or Rogelita Reyes na imbag nga adlaw tayamin or aldaw tayamin. Okay, good. We have Ma'am Anisita C. Palacios from Colegio de Iligan. Maayong hapon po sa inyo tanan. Wow, nice to hear, read greetings using your respective language, but I am not sure if I am pronouncing it correctly. Dr. George Lim, good afternoon to all. Greetings from the city of Golden Friendship, Cagayan de Oro. Okay, again, I would like to remind our participants that we will start at exactly 2 p.m. today. We have here greetings in Chinese. I am not sure if I am to pronounce it correctly. Xia Wu Hao, magandang hapon. Greetings from a Filipino here in China from Sir Mark Ritchie. Sir, regards po dyan. Maayong hapon sa inyong tanan, also from the City of Love. We have Ma'am Soselyn Batislaong of Iloilo State College of Fisheries, Dingle Campus. Maayong hapon sa tanan, basta Ilongga, guwapa, Ma'am Maria Verna C. Prosperoso. Wow, nice to have the affirmation from Sir Richie. We already have around 40 participants here live in Zoom or tuning in live in Zoom, and we are also viewed live in the official Facebook YouTube channel of POMI. So to those who cannot be with us here in Zoom, you can also go to our YouTube channel. Just search for POMI, P-O-M-M-I. We have around 200 confirmed participants from different parts of the country. And again, it's a confirmation that we are continuing to connive with the demands of the new normal. And again, dealing with research and education or innovation in the field of research and education. It's obviously one of the objectives we have here in PISI 21. Okay. We already have around 40 participants and we are still expecting more to come. We still have 6 minutes left before we officially start. So with that, again, allow me to read some of the greetings you have here. I am encouraging all of the participants we have to tell us about the places where you came from. Also, the greetings you have using your own language or dialect. We also have one of the active members we have, PISI 21, Ma'am Ofelia Salamatin. Good PM to all from PUP Santa Mesa, Manila. We also have Ronnie Balyado. Good afternoon from the University of Eastern Philippines, Lawang Campus in Northern Samar. We also have Ma'am Etchel Palma. Hi ma'am, mayong hapon sa tanan from Iloilo City. And we also have Ma'am Mary Jane Murillo. Magandang hapon po mula sa Colegio de San Gabriel, Arcangel of Caloocan Incorporated.
PM, sir.
Good afternoon din po. We have Ma'am Grace Agliam. Masantos yang ngarem edsi kayon amin or a blessed afternoon in Pangasinan. We have John Mart Eliseo. Maanyag nga kahaponon sa inyong tanan. Pagpangamusta gikan diri sa Madayaw nga dakbayan sa Durian, Davao City. I miss durian. Very expensive po yung durian dito sa Iloilo, but I really enjoyed eating durian at the time when I was in Mindanao. We have Sir Ernesto Framo. Good afternoon. We are still expecting more of greetings here as we are about to officially start our session. Okay, I would like you now to prepare yourselves as we will officially start in 2 minutes. Prior to that, I would like to read greetings here from Ma'am Yvonne Arago and Sir Jericho Tadeo. Good afternoon, everyone. And we also have Sir Jericho from Cavite State University. Okay, so again, I would like to remind you of the Netiquette. For sure, you have heard it several times, and we are reading it again and again. We have the following rules to follow throughout the whole duration of this web conference. 1, opening of camera is recommended. 2, always mute your microphone. 3, use headphones or earphones. 4, find a seat or location that is comfortable and well lighted. 5, it is advised to wear business or smart casual attire. 6, finish the whole web conference and complete the evaluation form for you to get your certificate. 7, always direct your concern through personally message or PM on our page or our email address so we can provide answer to your concern. Again, we are now on the last session of the second day of our National Web Conference for the 21st Century Researchers and Educators. We will officially start now. So with that, again, for those who are attending solely for this session, please be reminded again of the netiquette that you're expected to follow, especially with you expected to mute your microphone all the time. For sure, most of you will agree that the morning session was able to give us a great discussion on appropriate usage of quantitative tools in research. Our morning speaker, Professor Alberto M. Dizon, is the subject head of Mathematics and Technology of Don Bosco Technical Institute of Tarlac City. He was able to provide us several concepts, and there were questions that we failed to provide answers with due to our time. This afternoon session is still very connected to our morning session. The fact that our main focus is still dealing with quantitative approach. And this is in cooperation with Industry 4.0 or Comprehensive Organization of Revitalized Educators Incorporated. I would love to have your questions also be prepared in the end. And hopefully the questions that you've raised this morning will also be forwarded in the afternoon and will also be answered here in our afternoon session. So to our participants here in Zoom and to those who are presently tuning in live at the official channel of POMI in YouTube, good afternoon. Before we officially introduce to you our speaker, I would like everyone listening to the different platforms we have to effectively and responsibly use the chat function in raising your questions. You can write your questions or insights while our speaker is having his discussion, but expect it to be answered during the question and answer portion. We will be having the open forum after the speaker's presentation. And to those who would like to personally ask questions, you may also press the raise hand button and we will be notifying you ahead if you are recognized. Thank you. So, to formally introduce to us our speaker, may I request the National President of PICE I-21, Miss Emmy John Indonila Palmani, to do the honor.
Hello, maayong hapon. Good
Ngayong hapon, ma'am.
afternoon. Before I introduce our speaker for this afternoon, I would like to thank all of our participants for actively participating and supporting PICE I-21 and our affiliated organizations. Your presence and participation are overwhelming and motivating for us to do better in every conference. So, for our speaker this afternoon, he is currently an Associate Professor 5 and formerly the Vice President for Administrative Affairs of the Iloilo State College of Fisheries in 2017 to 2019. He has more than 10 years of experience in the administration, teaching, extension services and community involvement, research and development, and quality management. He worked as chairman of the Extension Services Unit and research coordinator of the College of Education from 2010 to 2015 at ISCOF Dumangas campus. Subsequently, he joined the College of Liberal Arts at ISCOF main campus, where he was designated as the associate dean and in charge of the graduate programs. He obtained the degree of Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in physics, from West Visayas State University in 2004. He holds a master's degree in general science from Iloilo State University of Science and Technology in 2012, a Doctor of Education degree in Educational Administration and Supervision from Central Philippine University in 2015, and a Doctor of Philosophy and Education degree in Research and Evaluation at Silliman University in May 2021. Being in the roster of competitive educators, he has been teaching and conducting research in the field of education and social sciences and has published several papers in the local, national, and international Scopus referee journals and has attended numerous international conferences and presented papers. In 2017, he received the Most Outstanding Filipino Researcher in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, by the Philippine Association of Institutions for Research Incorporated and Association of Scholarly Editors. He is a recipient of Dungganon nga Barotaknon Award in 2018 for his exceptional contributions in the field of education in his town. Distinguished 2018 second qualifier of Metro Bank Outstanding Teachers in the area of graduate studies. Best Publishable Paper and Abstract Awards from 2016 to 2017 by the International Association of Multidisciplinary Research and Asian Society of Teachers for Research. He is a Fellow of Royal Institute of Educators, Singapore. He was also an editor-in-chief of ISCOF peer-reviewed research journal and an international peer reviewer of International Association of Multidisciplinary Research and Philippine Association of Institutions for Research Incorporated, affiliate of Association for Institutional Research USA. He has a long professional experience. As a licensed professional teacher, he holds a wide variety of consultancy posts and serves on a number of advisory panels with the School of Graduate Studies. A recipient of the 2018 International Summer School at National Kaohsiung University of Science and Technology in Taiwan, where he completed training in governance, strategic management, advocacy skills, and community organization. He has been awarded as an international speaker by the Philippine Education and Technology in Japan NPO Incorporated and International Language Educational Network and Services and presented as TESOL holder in Bangkok, Thailand. In the last 5 years, as a national and international researcher, he has joined several organizations such as Samahang Pisika ng Visayas at Mindanao, International Association of Multidisciplinary Research, Philippine Association of Institutions for Research Incorporated, and International Association of Scholarly Publishers, Editors, and Reviewers. Ladies and gentlemen, to discuss the topic revisiting quantitative research towards a new perspective, let us all give a virtual round of applause to Dr. Michael Bracamonte Dizon.
Thank you very much for that very kind introduction. Hello, ma'am, to the President of the Philippine Institute of 21st Century Educators.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. Sir Casella, thank you.
Hi, sir. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon. Let me share my screen first. Sorry. Let me, okay, a minute first. I can't find my presentation. Wait, I'm sorry.
Okay, so while waiting for the presentation of Dr. Dizon to appear, I think it would be ideal for me to read also some of the greetings we have here. We have Sir Romeo, Romeo Rolly Cuzon. Good afternoon, Sir Romeo. We have also Ma'am Janet Pareño. Good afternoon po sa lahat. We have from SDO Kawayan City and Ma'am Daisy Bell Bagorio na imbag nga malem kada kayo amin from SDO Ilocos Sur. Okay, so nice to have great number of participants who came all the way from the Ilocos region. We also have Ma'am Jenny Lu Sabuga from Maigo National High School in Maigo, Lanao del Norte. We have Ma'am Ayani Kusepe. Good afternoon, everyone. Joining from Daku Elementary School in Mobo North District, Masbate Province Division. We also have from Calbayog City Division, Malaga National High School, Sir Jason M. Colamar. Okay. We also have from San Pablo City Campus of LSPU, Ma'am Maria Rona Sahagon. Good afternoon, ma'am. We also have great number of participants who came all the way from Colegio de San Gabriel Arcangel in San Jose del Monte City in Bulacan. We have Ma'am Cecilia Balawing. Is one of them. Okay. Sir Mike, are you okay now?
Okay. Hello. Good afternoon again.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir, but not yet in a full screen.
Okay, okay. Okay. So once
Okay,
again, good
sir.
afternoon. I'm sorry, technical problem. So once again, I'd like to thank the Philippine Institute of 21st Century Educators Incorporated for this invitation. Also the sponsoring organization, the Industry 4.0, Comprehensive Organization of Revitalized Educators Incorporated, the I4CORE. I'd like to thank also your virtual conference director, I think Sir Ricky Cubinco, who invited me. Of course, our moderators this afternoon, Sir Casella and Dr. De La Fuente. Okay. So this afternoon, I will be talking about rethinking or revisiting quantitative research towards a new perspective. So I'd like to clarify this thing, that quantitative research is a type of research, because when we talk about research, we have different types according to purpose, the type of data, the type of method. So quantitative research is a type of research under data. So either quantitative or qualitative research. So if we talk about quantitative research, it's more on statistical data or treatment. But when we deal with qualitative, it's more in perspective, subjective perspective. Okay. When research is so complex, marami na tayong naririnig na definition ng research from high school to college, sa undergrad, sa graduate school. And research, according to Williams, if you have read the book of Williams, The Craft of Research, because if you want to deal with the complexity of research, I want you to read that book. Have you read that book? So the author said that research is so complex. So meaning, if it's research is complex, we teachers or educators, teachers make things, or we are trying to make things or to be explicit with matters about research, with research, even with the left and implicit matters with research, okay, as part of the creative process. Now I want you to know that research is just part of the creative process, is part of the evolution of ideas. So I want to show this slide with. So research is a part of the creative process. So as I've said, it is the evolution of ideas, okay, until its original form, its final form. So it's just part of the process. So we start with finding our references, our inspiration, our topic, so documentation of knowledge, especially when we deal with qualitative, the experiences, no? Alam natin yan yung qualitative, okay? We document knowledge, as you can see in the slide, for the purpose to understand the phenomena, okay, as part of the creative process. But I will not talk about the creative process, but I want to teach something about something new about quantitative, how to make a very good proposal, a quantitative research proposal. Now, research we consider as the world's biggest industry nowadays. Research in the broadest sense, research, everyone does research, okay? We find information, data to answer a question, to solve a specific problem, okay? So lahat, teachers, sa lahat ng level, research, part ito ng ating work every day. So research is the world's biggest industry. When we go to the library, we are surrounded by many researchers, or by centuries of researchers. Even when we go to we log in the internet, we have access to millions of research reports, and those reports are the product of researchers who have, endless questions and problems, gathered amounts of information, and work out answers and solutions, and then work share with the rest of us. That's why, according to Parson, quoted by one author, teachers nowadays, are becoming expert researchers every day. Win workout natin yan, okay? So, and teachers at all levels devote our lives. We teachers devote our lives. So shout out sa mga teachers yan, especially sa mga taga Deep Ed. I think this topic is very timely, it's very relevant, and it's very important, especially nowadays that you are working, especially sa Deep Ed, kasi yung kahit yung basic education nila na yung platform nila ngayon, they have the policy agenda, and they also have the research agenda. So lahat ng activities ng mga teachers nowadays, lahat talaga research activities, research agenda. Pag tignan mo yung mga regional memorandum nowadays, lahat talaga pinapagawa sa lahat. If you have the policy agenda dito, research agenda, makikita natin. So yan ang pinaka-importante. So even our government spends billion on research. Okay? So research goes even in our laboratory, especially in state and universities and colleges. Sa pagkakaalam ko, yung DST yung malaki yung budget sa research. I think last year they have 2.488 billion for research, budget for research, but this year they have only 2.411 billion. Medyo may may difference, but yung budget is yan kalaki ang budget ng research nowadays. So research stands behind every new technology, product, and scientific discovery. But what do we gain when we write up a your research or a research proposal. Basically, there are three things. At yan ako papasok sa topic na I want to share a new perspective in writing a research proposal, especially quantitative. Pinaka-importante kasi ito kasi, especially as I observe in the graduate school, marami kasing though we have the institutional format sa paggawa ng research proposal when we teach, especially we teach students even in high school, but I have seen many fallacies in writing a research proposal. Kailangan kasi yung research teachers, maganda yung approach, kahit basic, masimple lang, maintindihan ng students yung approach mo kung paano siya gawin, paano mag-start ng research proposal. Okay? Basically, yung purpose natin why we write a research proposal is for us to remember. We take down notes, di ba? Basic yan. Hindi ko na kailangan explain yan. Then, we want to understand. Okay? I would like to share with you the writing support thinking principle. Alam niyo ba yung WST principle? Mayroon tayo kasi dyan eh. Pag binabasa niyo yung The Craft of yung book ni Williams, The Craft of Research, meron siyang sinabi na writing support thinking principle. Okay? Ang sabi niya, that is not just helping teachers or researchers to understand what we have found. Kasi basically, maintindihan mo yung na-discover mo if you conduct a research, di ba? But the writing thinking principle, or I mean, writing support thinking rather, I'm sorry, sinasabi dyan na it helps teachers to find in your research study a larger patterns of meaning. So meaning may new discovery ka, may bagong kang perspective, di ba? Yun ang writing support thinking principle na sinasabi ni Williams sa kanyang book na Craft of Research, o di ba? So pag ni-arrange and rearrange our research results natin in new ways, we can discover new connections, contrasts, complications, and implications. Basic pa rin yan. Pero ang pinaka-important, when you write our research proposal, we write to gain a new perspective. Diba? So, because the better we write, the more critically we will read. So, dyan papasok yung principle na sinasabi. So, I'd like to share something with you, and I would like to cite an example at one paper, a conducted research study. Ito yung gagawin nating example ngayon at paano natin siya i-explain from your interest topic to in making our recommendations. Kasi last partner ng especially sa mga thesis or dissertation writing na yung conclusion. So paano natin i-start yun from the start till recommendations ng ating research paper. Okay? Okay. From an interest to a topic, naalala ko pa yung estudyante, sir, wala akong topic, wala akong most yung mga students, especially kahit yung mga undergrad ngayon, hihingi na ng topic at saka title when they are on their thesis writing. Okay, it starts with an interest. Now I want to share this with you, and I want you to understand that our interest as an element or a factor is already a topic. Williams said that interest is, or a topic is your interest. Define narrowly para ma-imagine ng researcher, pwede pala ako maging local expert. Okay? So mababasa din natin na ang criteria for research sa research problem formulation, basic din ito sa lahat ng mga nag-conduct ng research. The criteria for selecting research topic and problem is your interest, right? Our capacity along with relevance, our resources, the money, time, materials, and availability of data. Okay, now take note that a problem is itself a problem. Yan ang problema natin kasi yung problem na sinasabi sa research is already a problem. And commonly, problem means trouble. Sino ba ang gusto ng trouble? Di ba? Wala. Problem means trouble. Okay? So I'd like to start with a topic. Example, a topic is usually too broad. Kasi pag broad ang topic, sabi yo, start with a topic so you have interest. Marami kasing interest kung interest ang pag-uusapan. But you have to choose the topic in line with your interest. Okay? You start with 4 or 5 words sa topic. Topic pa lang yan. For example, ang example natin ngayon sa quantitative or writing a quantitative proposal or research paper is about career development. Let's focus on career development. Okay? I hope you are all listening. Sa career development, we have 2 words, right? You start with 4 or 5 words for career development. So broad yan. It's too broad. So pwede natin siyang enhance para maging simple siya. So you have to add, yung special words na sinasabi natin sa research. You have to add special words. So yung career development, like for example, ang interest natin sa career development is Let's focus on high school students. Sa mga deep ed dyan. By the way, good afternoon sa lahat ng mga participants. Nakalimutan ko na sobrang excitement. Okay. Okay, let's take a look at this example. Career preferences. That's simple, di ba? Or career choice. If you're going to review literature, maraming related studies about career preferences or choices. But I want to focus on high school students. Okay? High school students. Now, from a topic to a specific, may problem ka ng career preferences, choices of high school, alamin natin kung paano siya I'm talking about more on quantitative research. Okay, so this is now our topic and our problem. Now with that, you're ma-think because yung thesis sa hypothesis formulation, marami kasing klase yan, no? I want to go directly to hypothesis formulation. Ang iniisip natin, what we thought is and what we think is yung research hypothesis. Hindi natin alam, there are so many kinds of hypothesis, di ba? Yung alam natin na mayroong null at saka alternative, they are just part of hypothesis na alam natin. Ang una natin dyan na i-clarify is, before tayo mag-proceed sa ating problem statement, is I'd like to define the working hypothesis. I'd like everybody to understand the working hypothesis. This is actually, we call this as our trail hypothesis, kasi yung working hypothesis. Ito yung preliminary assumption natin and use to design a final research plan. Kumbaga, ito yung research idea pa lang ito. We call that as working hypothesis. Marami pala tayong working hypothesis. Another is we have the statistical, developed by statistical models. From the word itself, statistics, assumptions ito. Mayroon a model related to probable distribution of certain criteria. And we have this one, the most common is the research hypothesis that we use in the study. Diba? Mag-state tayo ng mayroon ka ng problem, statement of the problem, mayroon ka ng objectives, or so you're now ready to formulate your hypothesis. Ito yung research hypothesis natin. But yung scientific, meron din tayong based from sufficient theoretical and empirical data. Scientific hypothesis yun yung mga sa experimental. We call those hypotheses a scientific hypothesis sa mga experimental dyan. We're dealing with experimental studies. These are scientific hypotheses. The most common now is the null and the alternative hypothesis. What want to understand is null and alternative hypotheses are part of the statistical hypothesis. So what is common is null. Of course, in null hypothesis, this is used for testing, the stating the equality or no difference and relationship between groups and variables respectively. And for alternative, of course, the opposite of null hypothesis. Pag sinabi mong no difference as your null hypothesis, eventually yung alternative is there is a significant difference or relationship. So these are, kina-clarify ko muna yung formula, yung types ng hypothesis para alam natin kung ano yung gagawin natin sa ating research proposal. Okay, now I'd like to go to research problem. Are you ready? Okay. I'd like to give an example of a research problem. I want you to take a look at this example. Correlates. Okay, this is a study. Correlates of personality traits, self-efficacy, and career preference among senior high school students in the province of Iloilo. Basis for a policy guide for an enhanced career guidance advocacy program. This is a very good study. Kung tingnan natin. But we can improve this title. Okay. For example, na-formulate na natin itong title. We can improve this one. Okay. First suggestion na pwede natin. So makikita natin sa title, dyan, the basis, this is actually the offshoot, ito natawag natin ng output ng study. Ang offshoot ng study is actually the main aim. I want you to understand, hindi yung correlate, yung personality, efficacy, at sa career preference, but the basis for policy. Ang policy guide, this is the main aim of the study. This is not not the three key variables na makikita natin sa title, ang main aim ng study, but your offshoot, which is the policy guide. So meaning it is expected that at the end of your dissertation or a thesis or whatever a study, magkakaroon ka, you will propose a policy guide, di ba? So we are thinking that when we formulate our research problem or research questions, this offshoot is expected to be included as part of the research problem. Take a look at this. We can change the title. We can improve this title. Correlates of self-efficacy and career preference factors of senior high school. We can change that to personality traits, self-efficacy, and career preference correlates among senior high school students. Anong nawala? Di ba, dinilit natin yung province of Iloilo. Sa ibang study, pwede na include ang province of Iloilo, but it's too lengthy naman kung ang province of Iloilo. Meron tayong maririnig na, you include that, ilagay na lang yan sa local of the study or sa problem statement. Basic yan. Basic, alam ko basic yan. Tinuturo sa atin yan. We can delete the phrase in the province of Iloilo in the title. Pwede natin hindi wag ilagay sa title, but you can probably in the locale of the study or in the preparatory statement on problem 1 and 2 of your paper. Pero medyo ano pa, saan ba yung preparatory statement on problem 1 and 2 of your research paper? Okay, now ito na yung bagong title. Okay, let's go to the problem formulation of research questions. Okay, please follow me. Okay, the statement of the problem, this is now the orthodox. There will be a comparison of orthodox, the conventional, and the modified and preferred format or pattern of writing your research questions. Okay? Kino-consider din natin yung institutional format, pero at this time, I'd like to introduce a new perspective in writing a quantitative research proposal. This is my objective this afternoon. Now, this is the title, and we will formulate now our specific questions. Okay, the orthodox form. Now, ang usually na ginagawa natin, what we usually do, and what we did in our previous researches, ito yung preparatory statement. This proposed study aims to determine the personality, blah, blah, and blah. Specifically, it will investigate the following questions. Am I right? Correct? Makikita, common yan. Makikita natin sa mga maraming research papers ang ganyan na format. Then, first question natin dyan sa orthodox format. What is the socio-demographic, correct? Makikita pa rin natin ngayon yan yung socio-demographic part ng research problem nila. Number 2, ano yung next question? What are the personality? Correct. What is the level of self-efficacy? Correct din yan. Then what is the career preference of senior high school? Correct din yan. Relationship ng socio-demographic and personality. Relationship ng socio-demographic at saka self-efficacy. May relationship ng socio-demographic at sa career preference ng students. Makikita natin yung number 8. Tingnan yung number 8 question. What recommendations can be drawn from the findings of the study? Or sometimes you can see in the statement of the problem this question. What policy guide? Medyo kung sa ating perspective ngayon, pwede namang tama yan. What policy guide for enhanced career guidance advocacy program can be proposed? But I am telling you now, these two questions are not part of the research problem. This is not part of the research problem. Now, we want to improve this. We want to have a modified and preferred way of writing your research questions in the statement of the problem. Okay, I'll teach you how. Now, the modified and preferred is this one. I'd like to start with the preparatory statement. Yung tingnan natin yung first ko na suggestion sa previous slides. The 11 and 12 grades are the most, if you're going to read this paragraph, no, medyo siya mahaba siya. Makikita natin sa second sentence there is a need for an enhanced educational program and career guidance activities that will help students of different personality traits choose appropriate career path based on their interest and competency. Therefore, the purpose of this study was to develop a policy guide. So lahat sa preparatory, ito ang preparatory statements natin, the first and second paragraph. So makikita natin sa preparatory, yung province of Iloilo. I suggest that you include the locale of the study in the preparatory statement of your statement of the problem. Can you see the province of Iloilo? The province of Iloilo is part of the preparatory statement. You can also see the different demographic profile. Makikita niyo yung profile, di ba? Okay, sa preparatory. Hindi pa tayo nag-start ng questions natin sa yung specific questions, right? Yung specific objectives. Pero nandiyan na sa preparatory statement ang ating profile. Makikita natin. Can you see that? Okay, next. You can also see the main aim of the study, which is there is a need for an enhanced educational program and career guidance advocate activities. Okay, so the locale of the study, your demographic profile, and the main aim of the study in the preparatory statement. Now, let's formulate the final questions of this study. In order to answer the major research problem, the following research questions were investigated. First, ano yung una? Hindi siya demographic, hindi siya what is, hindi siya what are, not what is, but is there a significant relationship between demographic profile and personality if you're dealing with correlational? But pwede natin siyang gawing correlational at saka correlational, both correlational and comparative, di ba? Comparative, siya descriptive, correlational, and comparative. Number two, is there a significant relationship between demographic and self-efficacy? Number three, is there a significant relationship between demographic profile and career preference? Four, is there a significant relationship between personality? So lahat ng questions natin sa statement of the problem, well, you cannot seek descriptive questions there. Those questions are embedded in the preparatory statement of your problem. Diba makikita natin yan? You cannot answer naman these questions if you cannot answer the questions na what is, what are, diba? So these are the questions na makikita sa statement of the problem because the only questions that will be included in the problem statement or the statement of the problem or objectives of the study are questions that can be hypothesized. Because sa ating hypothesis formulation, we cannot see naman na hindi mo naman nilalagay yung sa hypothesis mo na yung preferences ng mga students, but you only include yung hypothesis sa null or altered null hypothesis mo na there is a relationship or there is a significant difference, right? So this is a modified way of writing a quantitative research proposal. Okay, next. Now, if you want to have a distinction, if you want to really make your proposal very clear with with your readers, kailangang i-clarify mo sa problem statement pa lang if it is a pure correlational lang, or if it's correlational and this comparative, yung methodology or methods mo dyan. So, a comparative analysis. So meaning, hindi ka nagtapos sa questions na sa previous slide, but there are questions for a comparative analysis. So you can have this introductory statement for comparative. So a comparative analysis between grades 11 and 12 with respect to personality traits, perceived self-efficacy, and career preference factors was investigated to answer the following questions. One, is there a significant difference in personality? Compare natin yung grades 11 and 12 senior high school pag yung respondents natin yung senior high school sa whole province of Iloilo. Number two, may difference ba yung self-efficacy nila between 11 and 12 grades? And the last is, may difference ba yung preferences ng grades 11 at saka 12? These questions fall under the comparative analysis. Meaning in the statement of the problem, it's very clear sa reader, sa mga nagbabasa ng proposal mo that, ito pala, it's not just a correlational, but it's also a comparative study. Okay? Okay, next. So in research questions, this is another perspective. Relationship between. It's basic naman na when you write, especially sa inyong conceptual model at saka yung questions mo, dapat may sequence yan, in order yung questions. Ang ibig sabihin dito, in research questions, relationship muna between demographic, yung DP is demographic profile, yung PT is personality traits. Okay? Ang next question, dapat DP at saka self-efficacy. Third is DP at saka career CF. What is CF? Self-efficacy is SE. Next is, so ito yung sequence ng ating questions. Then PT and SE, PT and CF, SE and CF. In revising the conceptual model, yung conceptual model is researcher's map. Am I right? Ang conceptual model is researcher's map. Kaso yung nililabel natin sa figure 1, mostly kung wala tayo sa chapter 1, ang figure 1 natin is mostly makikita natin sa the way I observe, ano ba yung nilabel natin sa figure 1? Diagram, diba? Systematic diagram showing the relationship of variables. Yung sa yung sa orthodox, yung sa conventional. But you can actually make your figure 1, label your figure 1 as the conceptual model para mas easy siya mas simple siya. Okay? So the conceptual model following prescription must observe. Okay, ito na. Sa perspective natin sa conceptual model, ang perspective natin, yung prescriptions ko dyan sa conceptual model, if it's a significant difference, make the horizontal lines bold enough. Pag nakita yung horizontal, alam na natin yung horizontal line, pag bold lines yan, significant difference. Bibigay ako ng example ng model, ang model ng study natin. Pag very thin ang vertical lines, meaning may theoretical links, correct? Pag yung lines natin with arrowhead at one end, perspective ang ibig sabihin ng ating line. Okay, pag significant relationship naman, ang nilalagay natin yung lines with arrowhead at both ends. Example, I'll show you the conceptual model of this study. This is the model. Can you see the model? Okay, I think so. This is now the model of the study. Di ba maganda siya? Yung conventional, yung nakikita ko is we teach students to make a conceptual model starting from left of the paper to going right, correct? Merong first box, tapos makita yung mga demographic, yung whatever profile dyan. Then you connect that with arrow, yung mga students naguguluhan kung ano gagawin. Tapos may label pa ng mga dependent variables, independent variables. Meron pang mga option, may mga ganyan. We can delete the label, dependent, independent variables, offshoot, output, input, whatever in the conceptual model. Okay, but I want to teach you how to write starting from top to bottom. Orthodox is from left to right, but the modified and preferred is from top to bottom if you are formulating your conceptual model. This is now your map. This is very important. Now we start from top. Yung first box natin sa big box, nasa loob yung demographic, nakikita nyo very clear eh. Di ba? Yung first, yung mga arrow with both ends, with head both ends, significant relationship yan. Maganda siya, di ba? Kung titingnan natin. It's beautiful. Very clear. Very clear. Rather than putting yung dependent variables, naguguluhan yung mga students. Can you see my slide? Okay.
Yep, sir. We are following you, sir.
Okay. So, yung first natin, yung significant relationship. So, meaning, the first question is demographic profile. Makikita natin kung babalikan natin yung previous slides. First is demographic and personality. So, relationship lahat yan. 6. Then going down, this is your theoretical link. Meron pa kasi hindi lang you will discover if there is a connection or relationship. So pwede pang i-comparative ito. According to, kung magagamit ka ng theory, may link siya, punta dito. So nagiging relationship siya, nagiging comparative, correlational and comparative na siya. This one is significant difference. So it's very clear. From relationship sa statement of the problem, na link mo siya, naging sa next part, yung comparative analysis, nag-difference ka na dyan sa tatlong main variable, personality, self-efficacy, and career. Then, may difference din ba sa grade 12? Diba? So, lahat may comparison. So, makikita natin na clear talaga na from correlational to comparative analysis. Then, this one is your perspective because basically, ang pinaka-purpose talaga is we want to determine all this, yung mga relationship at saka yung difference nila sa ganito mga yung three key variables. But yung perspective talaga natin is ang main aim natin is to make a policy guide for an enhanced career guidance and advocacy program, di ba? So that's perspective. So I am just showing you how to label or to use the lines. So sinasabi natin pag both ends with may arrowhead both ends relationship yan. Pag line siya na thin, theoretical, pag bold siya significant difference. Ito perspective, especially kung if you're going to have an offshot, yung broken lines may arrowhead din siya, but that's perspective. Di Di about what one end, meron siyang arrowhead, that's perspective. That's it, conceptual model. Now, you label it as conceptual model. Okay? Now, for scope and limitations, let's go to scope and limitations. For scope, of course, the coverage of the study, this is the people and location. Hindi na kaya explain niya kung ano yung ilagay sa scope and limitations kasi alam na natin what are supposed to be in the scope and limitations of the study. Okay, sa limitations natin, cannot be done due to tactical or logical reason beyond control, especially during this time of pandemic. You need to put that in the scope and limitations, di ba? Walang face-to-face. For example, if you cannot conduct your study face-to-face, it's plain dyan sa scope and limitations, correct? This is the basis for further investigation. Also include the methodological, the sample size, the lack of prior studies, the research tool, the human, the access to people, the language, cultural basis. We were taught, and even until today, we are teaching students not to discuss things in the scope and limitations of the study na discuss mo din na part ng methodology, especially yung mga statistical tools. Commonly, yung mga statistical tools, we are actually putting statisticals and citing statistical tools in the scope and limitations of the study. As much as possible, refrain from putting those things in the scope and limitations of the study. That's the part of the modified and preferred format in writing a research proposal. Okay. Now, the scope and limitations section of the paper needs, okay, in detail what are possible limitations in terms of data collection, considering restrictions on face-to-face contact. At this time, this is actually I mentioned ko na ito. Also, it is important to state the possible limitations in the use of I don't know kung meron sa atin ang idea between adapted, and adopted. What's the difference between the two? Anybody? Can we use the two terms in research? Adapted and adopted? And if we can use the two terms, when? Saan siya appropriate gagamitin yung adapted at saka adopted? Bago ba itong perspective na ito? Can I hear someone to answer my question? Saan gagamitin yung adapted at saka adopted? Sa instruments, I'm talking about the instruments of the study because this is also part of the limitations of the study. Anybody? Kahit simple lang? Wala?
Adopt with an O?
Yeah, adopt with an O, sir. And A.
Adopt with an O meaning you copy it entirely.
Okay.
But adopt with an A, you made some modification.
Okay, very good. Okay, very good, very good. Modification, if it's adapted, if it's O, the entire instrument, you adopt the entire instrument. No modification. Correct. That's correct. For definition of terms, kailangan ba tayong i-ano sa definition of terms? Of course, conceptual definition, alam nyo yan. For example, yung conceptual nyo taken from, if it's from books, internet, diba? As much as possible, sa published printed materials tayo gagawa ng definition, conceptual definition natin. For operational definition, converting concepts into their empirical measurements. Example, yung family income i-define natin conceptually. Family income refers to the sum of incomes of all adults in the household. That's conceptual. Pag family income, pwede nating operational niya is family income refers to the household monthly income received by all family members. Nilalagay natin yung possible, include yung scale ng income sa definition of terms, how you use it in the study. Correct? Ginagawa naman natin ito eh. It's basic yan. Okay? It's a definition of terms. Okay. Now, let's go to significance of the study. This is very important, especially those who are working with their dissertation. Meron ba tayong mga dissertation writers dito? Yung mga PhD students natin?
I think we have great number of participants who are now working on their dissertation, sir.
This is very important, necessary sa mga PhD students. In the significance of the study, ito yung perspective ko. The first, ano yung pwedeng mag-ask question? Ako yung mag-ask question muna. Ano ba yung first, ano ba yung perspective natin, ano yung format, anong ginagawa natin sa significance of the study? Ano ba yung nilalagay natin sa significance of the study?
Okay, any participant, to those who would like to provide an answer to the question of Dr. Dizon, kindly unmute your microphone.
Sir, ito po ba yung yung mga sino yung beneficiary o kaya yung magiging welfare do sa research study mo?
Oh, okay,
Yun po
yeah.
ba yun?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yung mag-benefit sa study, correct.
Okay, thank you po.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Common yan. Benefit, who will benefit sa result ng study, correct. But in the modified format, integrate in your significance of the study the theoretical significance. Meron ba tayong, especially from state universities and colleges, may integration ba tayo ng theoretical significance sa significance of the study? Anybody from SOC? Meron bang portion, meron ba tayong part sa significance of the study, those who are teaching in the graduate school and those who are connected with the state universities and colleges, meron ba tayong, ini-introduce ba natin yung theoretical significance?
Okay, since Sir Dizon is recommending very active involvement from our participants, you can press the raise hand button if you would like to provide an answer to the question of Dr. Dizon. A while ago, we have Sir John Mark Eliseo who raised his hand. I think he would like to provide an answer also to the question provided by Dr. Dizon a while ago. Sir John Mark, you're recognized.
Hello,
We will have Jericho Tadeo
Yes, hello,
after.
Sir.
Hello po. Good afternoon. I'm
Good
John
afternoon.
from Davao City. Just wanted to share our practice in our university.
Yes, sir.
Well, I am connected with Holy Cross of Davao College as well as having my doctor's degree in University of Mindanao. What our practice in writing our significance of the study is that we need to clearly establish the social value, the social value of the study, and then followed with the beneficiaries in the second paragraph.
Social value. Can you give an example, sir?
It talks about the importance of the variables being utilized in the study, sir.
How do you call it? How do you label it? I'm sorry. How do you label it?
We use its social values po.
Social values yung label sa significance.
Yes po. We use significance of the study as a subpart, but in the whole paragraph, because our significance of the study somehow, the format, we had two to three paragraphs. Okay. And then in the introductory paragraph for our significance of the study, we applied or used social values po. The importance of the variables of the study.
Benefits, pa rin. Benefits, pasok pa rin yung benefits. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Sir John Mark. We will have Sir Jericho Tadeo, sir. Sir Jericho is also raising his hand.
Yes, yes.
Hi, good afternoon to everyone.
So, good afternoon.
I would just like to answer of your query as to the theoretical inclusion of a study. This is in situation for Cavite State University.
Yes, sir.
So what's happening to us is that we do not directly mention that it is for an additional theory addressing a theory, but rather we have this as part for future studies and a ground for discussing what theory for development for what aspect of theory is being tackled and what other aspect of theory can be pondered on. Usually, especially in my case, I belong to business and management studies. As far as theory discussion is concerned, it is already relatable to understate it already on the statement of the problem of what relationship would it be. So as far as your question is concerned, we have that kind under the state universities and college. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That's good. Okay, so it's good, no? Yung mga state university kasi we have research practices, good research practices. So yun, thank you for your answers. So now let's go back to significance of the study. Yeah, it's very important. We include the who. Actually, we answer the question, who will benefit the results of your study. That's common. Now, in the significance of the study, this section of the study needs to clearly articulate its theoretical significance, not only its practical significance. What you also I'd like to suggest, if you can, you put the theoretical significance of first part. Kasi sa ibang school naman, nililabel, may ibang yung the whole na lang, paragraph na lang. But in some school, yung practice nila is they categorize naman who will benefit. For example, the administrators, di ba? Meron yan. May the parents, the students, common yan, di ba? But if that is your format, you try to include first, to put first the theoretical significance itself. Theoretical, put theoretical. What does the study hope to contribute to the body of knowledge? I think sinagot na natin question yan. Body of knowledge or the theory development. Because later, after your chapter 4, pag natapos ng conducts, you go back to significance of the study. Basic naman yan di ba? Especially if you make recommendations, di ba? Sasabihin ng teacher natin, you go back to significance who will benefit your study. So, who will benefit, anong benefit ng administrators, anong benefit ng parents, ng students. But what is most important, especially if you are a PhD student, you go back to theoretical significance and you put the very important, which is actually the theory development, di ba? Yung theory development, ito yung babalikan natin. Ito yung isa sa mga hindi natin ginagawa, especially sa mga undergrad, I think, kung sa ibang schools, hindi na natin binabalikan ito yung significance ng study. So you go back to significance of the study after na if you have formulated your theory, pag pag may ginawa kang theory or may additional ka, balikan mo yung significance of the study. Example, the theoretical significance of the study, as of this title that I na-present ko sa inyo, this study was carried out as an interdisciplinary study located at the intersection of personality traits, self-efficacy, and career preference of senior high school students, which will make it possible to solve the problems of modern basic education. So I want you to read the next sentence, the need for developing promising. Okay, so may mention dyan ang theoretical concepts of transition from traditional developed na parent model of career intervention to the new normal. Magbibigay ako mamaya ng example, i-present ko dito yung result ng study na ito at paano siya ilagay sa paper. Is that okay with you? Okay, sige. Now, let's go to review of related literature. It's very redundant naman pag sinabi natin review over literature and related studies. Diba kasi ang literature related studies, so it's the correct one is review of related literature, not review of literature and related studies. Okay, so the types of literature are conceptual literature. We have the research related studies. Okay, conceptual from books, monographs, research and related studies, yung articles in journals. We have the research reports. We have the theses and the dissertations, the conference papers. Okay. Now, the RORL, or we sometimes call this as RRL, Review of Related Literature, needs to be up to strengthen the theoretical basis of the study. Basic naman ito. It is equally important to capture possible contradictions, inconsistencies in previous studies, regard to your study's tentative propositions. Ang nangyayari kasi, as I've observed, especially sa high school students, I'm teaching also in the high school research, yung approach na observe ko lang, yung approach natin, yung ginagawa ng students, copy-paste na, di ba? Copy-paste. Dilog dito the internet, copy, then paste sa chapter 2. Pwede natin introduce yung approach in writing your RRL. You start the concept, pwede naman yung if you have the variables, if you have identified, and we have identified our socio-demographic variables, alam na natin by just simply looking at the socio-demographic profile of the respondents, alam na natin kung ano yung sequence ng mga related studies sa chapter 2, right? Correct? So when you write your RRL or your chapter 2, go directly to the concept, hindi na yung maraming paste na lahat ng concept. Like for example, if talking about career development, marami kang nilalagay na career development pero wala namang related studies, wala namang iba, walang sources. So you go directly to career development or career preference, and then you pair that with your social demographic, and then put the content must include related studies, actually contradictions, inconsistencies in previous studies, which are actually related to yours. Because gagamitin mo yan in chapter 4, correct? Okay. Now, this is just a sample of the sequence of the concepts presented in chapter 2. So review of related literature and theoretical framework of the study. So your related literature, you start with that one. So makikita nyo dyan, the authors starts with career choice of high school, then followed by personality na pair sa self-efficacy. If you're going to look at the paper, makikita nyo lahat related studies. Wala na dapat maraming stories, but related studies yan. Then lahat, you can see, meaning lahat ng mga social demographic may representative. Pero I'm sorry. Pero kung may mga variables, wala kang study talaga na makikita. For example, be it, i-leave mo na lang yan. Huwag mo nang problemahin yan. Okay? As much as possible, you have to look for related studies, be it, conformity or in contradictions with, sa mga previous studies, okay? And then put that in chapter 2. Is that clear? In other schools, in some universities, chapter 2 includes the theoretical and conceptual. But in some schools, conceptual is part of chapter 1. Okay? It depends. Institutional format yan. Okay. Now, for theories, tapos na tayo sa theoretical, but dito ang theory construction. Theories natin either hypothetical logical model, yung hypothetical model, yung syllogistic or deductive. Alam natin ito. From general to specific hypothesis. Yung hypothetical logical, I'm sorry. Kasi ang model, if you're going to look at the model, there are may dalawang point entry ang hypothetical logical model. Hypothetical logical model, I mean. Whether you start with that hypothesis formulation, or you may enter pagkatapos ba ng theoretical formulation, ng theoretical hypothesis formulation, theoretical, magfo-formulate ka ng, empirical pala. Empirical observation or theoretical hypothesis formulation. Pwede kang pumasok sa hypothesis formulation, pwede ka rin pumasok sa empirical observation, then you go to theory construction, then followed by hypothesis formulation, then tester hypothesis, that is hypothetical logical model. Pero kung pattern model naman sa theory mo, I think the best example, I'll give you the best one in this study. I think it shows the pattern model. It has 2 levels, the theoretical and the empirical. Okay. Now, can you see the note in the slides? In a PhD project, the production of new knowledge and theory of a career that embodies personality traits and perhaps self-efficacy. Okay. Common. On theoretical significance, kung titingnan natin yung sinasabi kong theoretical significance, you state that whose responsibility, because might be your panel or your advisor would ask, sino ba yung responsible in the formulation of theoretical concepts? So ikaw yung, kasi you will formulate your own, maybe first in the field of education or theories, etc. Okay, but in this case, it seems that it's just like a dissertation paper. So it is the writer or the dissertation writer who will actually responsible in formulating the theoretical concepts. Okay, now your theoretical framework. The structure, it is the structure that can hold or support a theory of a research study. It's more of abstraction. It introduces and describes the theory that explains why the research problem exists. It is your theory. It limits the scope of the relevant data, because if you talk, pag mag-theory ka, if it yung ano mo is career development, so it limits the scope of the relevant data. Considering your title, your research problem, the key variables, the related literature, existing theories, these are the basic about theoretical framework. Okay, the key variables in the research, in our example, let's go back to our title. If you can think of the title that I presented a while ago. The paper is actually identified 3 theories as it's anchored to Becker's labeling theory, the self-efficacy, and trait theory, the psychoanalytic self-concept, and the theory which is actually related to career preferences of an individual. But the main theory used in the study is the Howard Becker's labeling theory, which actually wherein it states that the individuals the interpretation of the individuals based on the social interaction, the comments or the ideas coming from social interaction. That's Howard's the point of Howard Becker's in his labeling theory, or interactionism. Interactionism, I think this one is interactionism. Now, if this is the theory, things to remember when okay, let's go to methodology and let's go back to Becker's later on. You clarify whether the study will adapt. I think we made clear this one. This one is very clear, the adapt and the intact instruments if it's adopt. Since the word used in the paper is adapted, then it must specify what modifications were able to be made and it modified. Are there plans for subjecting the adapted instruments to test validity and reliability? If it's very clear, if may modification ang instruments, subject that to validity and reliability testing pa rin. Pag may modification ng instruments, okay? That's very important. During this pandemic, for example, if there is a need to include the data in the collection procedure, how issues related to safety of researcher? Yung mga proposals natin related to pandemic, i-state natin yan sa methodology. That's the one tip ibibigay natin sa inyo. Include a clear procedure on how the questionnaire are to be administered to students. If this is your title, this is that's also basic. As part of the ethical considerations, the paper must indicate that it will secure not only the consent of school administrators and inform if you're going to deal with, those below 18. Parental consent is very important from students whose age are below 18. That's also basic. As part of the ethical consideration, the paper must clearly state how it intends to secure the data that will be collected from the respondents. Okay, that's methodology. Now for Becker's labeling theory, now you are now in the results and discussion. Imagine yourself, you are now writing your chapter 4. Okay, now you consider Becker's labeling theory. This is now the proposition of Becker's labeling theory as used in the study, in the proposed study. With the new construct found in the analysis of this investigation, it is with high confidence to challenge the symbolic interactionism or the labeling theory of Becker on his proposition. This is the proposition of Becker. Everybody please read. Read with me. People are constructors of their own actions and meanings. Individuals construct their own social realities and perspectives of their world using responses from the environment and different socio-cultural relationships with which they interact. Symbolic interactionism, or what we call Becker's labeling theory, provides opportunities for analyzing ways in which different socializing experiences affect an individual life cycle. If you're going to read the theory of Becker, it is not clear, although he stated that the opportunities, the word quote unquote, opportunities for analyzing ways in different social life experiences, but it's not very clear. But the study made clear what Becker said in his theory about social interaction, symbolic interactionism, and opportunities for analyzing ways. Dito tayo mag-focus mamaya sa, and then we'll go back to significance of the study, the theoretical significance. Now, the study provided, okay, hindi ko nang babasahin yan, it's too long, it's part of the study. It is part of the theoretical framework. Now, this is important, these findings. The findings of the study raised the argument on analyzing ways on which different socializing experiences. The author of the theory leads us to this phrase, socializing experiences affect. What are these socializing experiences of the interactionism, symbolic interactionism of Becker, of an individual's life cycle, as pointed out by in his symbolic interactionism? The statistical findings, can you see the result? I think the highlighted phrase or sentence is the findings of the study intercept the concepts of normative social influence and the proposition of stereotyping in the argument that based on the findings can be interpreted as strategies of past social experiences. Diba? Maganda yung study na may ginawa ka, not just sinabi mo na tama si Becker sa social interactionism, but in this case, there is a concept of social, hindi niya na-mention yung normative social influence, na notice nyo, and proposition of stereotyping. Medyo general yung pag-state ni Becker sa theory, pero sa study na found out nakita na stereotyping pala ka social influence ang sinasabi niyang enters the concepts sa kanyang theory. So normative social influence as part of behavior in response to an open environment come into play. In addition, can be seen that stereotyping as a perceived thought, this is now the idea of the researcher. In addition, can be seen that stereotyping as a perceived thought towards someone or something. Okay? Now, the new proposition. Since you have the social what is that? Normative and stereotyping, this is now the proposition of the author. You write the new proposition. Stereotyping on the areas of social status, gender differences, parent role, and sibling rank is a stimulus of normative social influence. Okay, hindi ko na babasahin. Anong bago dito? Perspective. Ilalagay mo sa recommendation, possible, pag may new proposition ka, di ba? You are now working with the results and discussion, may conclusion. Isa yan sa mga recommendations. Therefore, you can recommend. It is recommended that the new proposition on Becker's symbolic interactionism of labeling theory must be institutionalized and its concept must be adopted in any possible enhancement or future development of career guidance program, which is the main aim, to all senior high school students in the province of Iloilo. That is a recommendation. What is the other thing that you need to do as the author or writer? You go back to the significance of the study. Examples, na-state na natin ang theoretical significance, ilalagay mo pa rin yung first preparatory paragraph or statement ng theoretical significance, then ilalagay ang new proposition. You always visit, you visit after your recommendations, you go back to your significance, not just for recommendations alone, but in order for you to include or incorporate the new proposition of your study. Nakuha ba? That's a new perspective, correct? Okay. Extra tips and reminders in doing a successful quantitative research. If there are questions on differences, consider incorporating the comparative. There must be a consistency in sequencing of your presented data. The first table you have, okay, kung mag-present, di ba yung presentation natin, di ba discussion table format yan eh. Make sure that the data you have presented must follow the exact sequence of your problem statement. Sinabi ko na yan. There is a need for you to explain and give meaning for words. Oh, ito pa. Yung neutral, yung mga discussions sa chapter 4, ano yung sinasabi natin mga neutral, strongly agree, what does it mean to have a neutral personality in terms of these areas? Lalagyan natin ng meaning sa chapter 4, okay? In your conclusion, there is no need for you to cite very specific statements. If you want to present the elaboration of that specific statement should be moved to analysis and interpretation section of your chapter 4. That's also basic. Okay, another, before I end this presentation. The decision of your hypothesis should be presented in analysis and interpretation. It should not be included in the conclusion. Your conclusion should be merely conclusion. If your conclusion just go to the generalization found in your study. This is also a common fallacy among us. Conclusions and implications are two different things. Conclusions are based on the findings. Implications are you are looking at the meaning in terms how it can be applied in the practice, in the practical work. And if you have many quotations of the statements and provided a way, okay, pwede yan. Pag marami kang, hindi na kasi yung format makikita natin, include pa yung sa parentheses, yung mga means, standard deviation, makikita naman yan sa table sa chapter 4. They can also be found, they can be found in the table. Okay, those are tips when you write, if you're writing a quantitative research proposal or in your paper. Okay, so in a phenomenological point of view, when you say that the person, okay, ito pa, is efficient. So since this study is talking about self-efficacy, yung observer, pag ginamit ko, pag ako yung nag-rate sa self ko, for example, yung efficacy ko, perception, iba yung interpretation natin sa, di ba meron tayong, ano yan, label, ano yung tinatawag natin na yung range natin, may interpretation tayo, di ba? Ang efficiency ng observer is different sa person, sa respondents mo. So pag you are dealing with self-efficacy, pag sinabi mong not efficient, dapat ano mo yan, if i-clear mo if it's based on the observer point of view or the point of view of your respondents, kasi magkaiba yon. They are not the same. Kasi pag sinabi natin self-efficacy, labi na pwede na yung not efficient, not mga ganon. But take note that the point of view of the observers is different from the point of view of the respondents or the participants of the study. So in terms of interpreting and discussing, perhaps you should look into describing how individual feels about their skills rather than other people see them. That's very important. Okay. What still need to be done? Your contribution to theory building. Those who are working with dissertation, the research proposal, PhD students, build up your theoretical framework. That's very important. That's one thing I'd like to share with you this afternoon. How does your theory, so this theory, help you understand the respondents' point of view and their behavior? How does it help you understand the process in which your respondents construct their viewpoints? Write your statement of general conformity, pattern of behavior beyond the immediate observations that will lead you the unknown problems of viewpoints and behavior of respondents, and discloses our theoretical conclusions. Okay, so that's all. Thank you for listening.
Okay, there you have it. Dr. Michael Dizon on his talk about revisiting quantitative research towards a new perspective. Again, we will proceed now to the question and answer portion. If you notice, Sir Michael, we already have questions appearing here in the chat function in Zoom. And we also have participants who are also sharing their own insights about your discussion. But again, I am encouraging all of the participants we have here to follow the same format, like that of what we've embraced for the past sessions already. To those who would like to remain anonymous, for example, you may go to slido.com and just use that number 133930. And we will also cater questions found here in Zoom. And to those who would like to ask personally, you may press the raise hand button. And to those who will be tapped to ask questions, I would like you to introduce yourself first, the institution where you are affiliated with, and your question. Okay, so we'll wait for the questions to appear. I think we already have a question here, or I guess more of an insight from Sir Biligardo Paculanang. Mr. Dizon, what can you say on this? He's asking about a research title should have at least 10 to 12 words, while thesis title should have at least 15 to 25 words. What do you think of that, Doc?
Exemption naman yan eh. Can I see the title? Hindi ko makikita.
I think he did not provide us a title of the paper, sir. He was just asking for the confirmation about 10 to 12 on a research title and then 15 to 25 on a thesis title.
It's institutional. Pag institutional format, you need to follow. Pero kung hindi naman siya institutional proposal ang ginagawa mo at saka hindi naman ano yung title, it's okay.
Okay.
Yung thesis kasi sa dissertation title na 12, maximum 15 words. Institutional kasi yan, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir, for the confirmation. We have here, because we have here an additional information provided by Sir Biligardo Paculanang. It has something to do with the title that you provided.
Okay.
Your title presented is more than 30 words.
Oh, yeah, 30 words. Yeah. Because when you're right, personally, to be honest, it's my study. I presented my study. Wala naman, although the sinasabi na yung maximum yung mag-propose tayo ng research, maximum 15 words. But kung nasa actual na, especially sa mga PhD students working with their dissertation, wala na, hindi na natin kasi mayroon pa tayong offshoot dyan eh. Offshoot na, so hindi natin makuha yung 15 words.
Okay, thank you, Sir Biligardo Paculanang. We already have questions here appearing in slido.com. And I think it would be ideal for us to read. Okay, we have here, what are your bases on all these modified formats that you have talked about throughout this discussion, particularly on research questions, conceptual model, and significance of the study? Have you relied on globally accepted book or manual references? If there are, what are some of these? Or are you only sharing the format from the HEI where you finish? What do you think of that, Doc?
I think it's for universal format. Most of Kasi we are trying to bridge yung conventional at saka yung modified saka preferred. Sinabi ko sa slides ko na yung orthodox at saka yung term natin na ginamit is modified and preferred. Meaning possible pa rin na conventional yung way of writing mo, pero yung modification meaning ito na yung bago. We need to adapt to the new normal. 'Di ba? New normal and preferred meaning even if you are connected with the basic education or if you are connected with the state university or SOC, it is now the modified and preferred format in writing the research proposal.
Okay, we have here a question from Ma'am Ophelia Salamatin. I think she was asking for the confirmation on the idea about the related literature studies above 10 years. Can we still include it in the research study?
Okay, that's a good
Thanks
question.
po from Ma'am Ophelia Salamatin.
Yes, ma'am, you can. But back it up with studies 5 years back. Pag gumamit ka, for example, wala kang studies na makikita 2000, that's 11 years, right? Kailangan
10 years,
i-pair,
sir.
ma'am. When you write sa chapter 2 at saka chapter 4, kailangan may kasama siyang 5 years back na study. Hindi pwede yon, yung 10 years lang.
Sige,
Kailangan mag-pair
salamat
sila.
po.
Mag-pair sila, ma'am. Mag-pair.
Thank you
Accepted
po.
pa rin yan. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am
po.
Ophelia. We
Thank
have
you,
here
sir.
a direct message from a participant from Philippine Christian University.
Oh, yeah.
Sir, how about in doing an immersion paper? Usually, how many pages po? I am
Kasi
not familiar
yung
actually
number
about
of
immersion
pages.
paper.
Yung number of pages, kasi more institutional for, depende sa agency mo yan eh. 'Di ba? Like sa subject na, okay, you write a paper, a 10-page paper, something like that. Okay? Pero kung sa iyo naman, it's personal mo naman, wala namang limit, 'di ba? We only limit our proposal, our paper kung if you join a conference, 'di ba? Yung mga conferences may mga formats sila, may mga guidelines. Wala tayong magagawa. We need to follow the guidelines. Kasi ma-DQ tayo pag hindi tayo mag-follow ng guidelines. Pero kung personal mo na research, wala namang limit yan. Okay.
Okay, thank you. What about on review of related literature?
Oh, yeah.
Do we need to include the offshoot? Can you
yes.
enlighten us, sir, about that?
Yeah, conceptual. Yes, as you discussed, you work with chapter 2. Kaya nga sinasabi ko, sa conceptual literature mo, you discuss, like, sa example ko lang, yung sa study ko, discuss mo yung career development. As you go along, matatouch mo yung offshot, then back it up with related studies, di ba? Mako-combine sa chapter 2 yan. Kailangan talaga, yes.
Okay.
Especially kung may existing study sa akin yung basis for policy guide, mayroon yung existing study yan. So you need to cite that in chapter 2 kasi meron yan. Okay? Especially kung kailangan may modification later on sa policy guide, sa DepEd, sa mga taga-DepEd, kailangan ilagay sa chapter 2 yan. I-cite mo talaga yan.
Okay, thank you. Again, we're encouraging our participants to provide also additional questions. And it would be ideal for us to have an actual participant here who will be asking personally to Dr. Michael B. Dizon. Just press the raise hand button, especially to those who are asking, for example, about sir's basis of universal format, for instance. Now, sir, do you have like an answer to this question?
What's that?
On dealing with the universal format in dealing with your presentation a while ago?
Universal format?
Yep, sir.
Ang chapter 2 kasi, masasabi ko na medyo sometimes institutional din eh. Like in CPU, in Central Philippines, I graduated in CPU. Yung format ng RRL ng chapter ng CPU is yung thematic. May nag-question dyan, nakita ko yung thematic. That is thematic RRL. Sir, mayroong question dyan. I think nakita ko, nag-pop up.
Yep, sir. It has something to do with the thematic format.
Yeah, it's something to do with thematic format. Ang thematic, sa example yung study ko, personality trait, theme ka, kumbaga, you look for studies na personality, i-pair mo sa age, personality, i-pair mo siya sa sex, yung personality, i-pair mo sa socio-economic status, something like that. So lahat ng mga study, yun ang tinatawag na thematic. You look for studies about personality traits na gumamit ng age as a variable tapos ano yung result, may contradiction ba o conformity, ilalagay mo yun doon sa team na ginawa mo sa RRL. Yun ang thematic. Yun siya. Maganda kasi. Yes, sino yung nag-question ng thematic RRL? I like that question. That's very good. I encourage you to introduce the thematic RRL. Bisan kahit sa kahit sa high school students, it is very beautiful to adopt the thematic format. Hindi siya maano nyo siya, makukuha nyo yung copy paste na ginagawa ng students if you introduce the thematic format.
Okay, thank you again, Sir Belegardo Paculanang. We already have participants raising their hands here in Zoom, and we will start with Sir George Lim. Sir George, you're recognized.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Dr. Dizon.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
With regard to the, what you call this, the universal guidelines or format, I suppose it would be unique for every university, because I have been checking with Asian and also in Australia and also some in the States, even in the University of Nebraska. They really emphasize that although there are certain guidelines for RRL, actually this is just a rejoinder, Dr. Dizon.
Yes, sir.
There is no specific really guidance as to making the RRLs, since it is definitely unique in every study and also in the institutions where you are conducting the study. Maraming salamat po.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Institutional pa rin. In Region 6, meron tayong research format. I think they're working with the Region 6 research guidelines. Yung sinasabi ko kanina na institutional. Depende sa institution kasi yan eh.
Okay, thank you, Sir George Lim. We'll proceed now with Sir Jericho Tadeo. He's also raising his hand here in Zoom. Sir Jericho, you're recognized.
Hi, good afternoon to everyone.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
I don't have any queries, but rather this is my take with regard to the presentation. First, I would like to appreciate the innovativeness of research, because as we know, as researchers, practitioners in this field, research is dynamic, and I do appreciate the innovativeness. However, as far as my field is concerned, for example, in economics and business and management, there are some points, especially in the standard of modification of scaffolding statement of the problems, because I believe in my field, it's not for us, hindi para sa atin na tayo ay magsusulat, but it is for the readers na tayo ay magsusulat. And I believe if we try to scaffold it one by one, deliberately, for example, going through the orthodox method, it will be easier for our readers to understand what our point is. I'm talking on my discipline, and also one of the end goal of research is, of course, makapublish tayo as much as possible, yung talagang mas madaming makakabasa. And siguro the innovativeness of your idea, sir, siguro will somehow give us a catalyst to understand further how can we reach further and understand the depth of writing research. Maybe that is we could focus and a takeaway from this session. Thank you. I appreciate your innovativeness. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sir Jericho, for also sharing your insight to us. It's so happy to know that some of our participants are also providing answers, sir, to the questions that our participants are also raising, like that of what we are seeing here in slido.com. But can we also go back to this question, sir? If the questionnaire contains adopted and adapted questions, will it undergo dry run test? Can we have the confirmation, Doc?
Adapted, and you will adopt the questionnaire, which is also adapted. It depends kung adapt mo the whole instrument, which is also adapted. Pag wala kang modification, then kung na-state niya na may subject sa validity and reliability, hindi na kailangan. Pero kung may modification ka sa adapted na questionnaire din, then you have to subject it for reliability and validity testing. Take note, yung instrument na may modification, kahit isang word or phrase or sentence, you need to subject that for validity and reliability. And one common error, your panelists, your advisors cannot be, hindi pwede maging validators ang panelists at saka advisor. That's illegal. Marami akong nakikilalang PhD students, yung advisor daw part ng valid. Ay, hindi pwede. That's very wrong.
Okay, so we have here another question here in Slido.
Okay.
In some higher education institutions, IMRAD is now being highly recommended.
IMRAD.
May I know what's your take on this? Like, is there a specific number of pages in dealing with the IMRAD, for example? What do you think?
Production, methodology, IMRAD. IMRAD is for publication. Kasi ginagamit yung IMRAD para ma-shorten a 10-page full paper sa mga publication. Kung meron kayong journal na IMRAD ang format, institutional pa rin yan ng IMRAD. If they say IMRAD ang format, then you follow IMRAD para ma-shorten yung full paper kasi ang dami, especially chapter 4. Meaning kung IMRAD, relevant information, meaning yung major research results lang. Institutional pa rin ma-fall yung IMRAD. Mostly sa mga research publication yan, format.
Okay, and I think we were able to have the discussion about IMRAD on our day 1.
Yeah.
And the decision about normally on the number of pages also vary, and most of the time it has something to do with the journals as to those who are providing us as to how many number of pages are allowed. Okay, so we have, I think it has something to do with the reference or a book. Again, sir, I am telling you, we have many participants who are now working on their dissertations. That's why they are also asking you for about like a book on modified format of research. Doc, do you have any recommended one?
Modified
format of research.
Modified research format, marami tayong research books. If you're a beginner, yung in-introduce ko kanina yung craft. If you're a beginner, the craft of research, if you have this book.
Okay.
You have this book. If you're a beginner, it's a very good. If you're dealing with complexity of research, from interest from the topic to down to the final page of your paper, you read this book. Yung format, maraming research books. Meron tayong public, kaya yung mga SOC, marami silang books. Especially sa grad school. Meron sila yan.
Okay, thank you. We have here another question appearing in Slido. Sir, on thematic review of related literature, what if one variable has no available studies? What could be the best intervention? Is it just all right, or do we need to replace or remove that variable? What do you think of that, Doc?
Skip.
Okay.
Do not remove the variable. Do not remove the variable in your conceptual, in your problem statement. Just go with, kung walang study available, okay lang yan. Hindi naman siguro lahat ng variables. If you have 5 variables, lahat ng variables, wala. Maraming variables sa, ngayon, sa internet.
Okay, good.
Skip lang, skip sa thematic.
Thank you, sir. If you're planning to adopt an instrument from foreign countries, I guess you still need to pilot test this to your local setting because there might some changes. What do you think of that insight from our participants, sir?
I think nasagot ko ang question na yan. If it's
okay.
a foreign questionnaire, a local questionnaire, pag walang reliability and validity, you need to. Pag local or international na may modification, you need to subject for validity and reliability testing.
Okay, thank you. So again, we are encouraging our participants. It would be ideal if we are seeing you, seeing your faces,
sir,
you asking questions.
Additional
okay,
sa questionnaire, you ask the author first if the author will allow you to use the questionnaire before you modify or adapt the questionnaire.
Okay.
Sa mga graduate school, please do not allow your students to have their pre-oral defense. I'm sorry, this is my suggestion. If they cannot show the consent of the author to use the questionnaire, I think that's a requirement, a basic requirement for pre-oral.
Okay, thank you. I don't know what's this concept about. Please recommend institutionalization of the findings. The new proposition in a wide area like a province, since the mentioned variables will vary among respondents. What do you think of that insight, Doc?
Proposition? Yung sa significance of the study. That is your proposition. That is the part of the writer. Ano yung question? Please read it again.
I think it is more on the insight provided by
insight.
the participant we have here, sir. Okay, so we still have many questions appearing here in the chat function of Zoom. We have a question from Ma'am Anesita C. Palacios.
Yes, hello, ma'am.
How many respondents are ideally needed for testing the validity and reliability of a research tool? Actually, sir, we have many questions appearing kanina, but we failed to provide answers. And good thing you, I guess, is also in authority to provide answer to this question. What do you think of that, Doc?
I was taught by my professor, not specifically what book, but it must be 30 sa validity testing. I mean sa reliability. Okay, for validity, for doctorate, for doctorate you need to have five validators for doctorate, and at least three okay na sa masters validators.
Okay, so I guess we don't have any question appearing here now. Personally, like in my case, for example, Doc, no, the last time I came up with a quantitative kind of research was at the time when I was taking my bachelor's degree. So, dealing about quantitative approach, medyo na-lost na ako sa maraming concept. But I really learned a lot from today's discussion, especially in dealing with the innovation and the new perspective that you've introduced to us. Like in my PhD, for example, we are more trained to come up with qualitative kind of research. That's why medyo maraming mga information that are like already abstract to me again. Okay? Yeah. So anyway, can we have now concluding words from Dr. Michael Dizon?
First, thank you to the PICEI for the opportunity to share. Okay, I hope that what you have learned today in my discussion, you will apply this in your respective institution. Okay, the new perspective, the new way of writing a quantitative research proposal or paper. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, again, that ends our question and answer portion. To those who would like to personally ask questions, again, to those who would like to contact personally Dr. Dizon, I guess he will be providing us his own email address. And we will also be sending to you the PDF copy of Dr. Michael Dizon's presentation. And we will have it together with your certificate more likely.
Yes.
Okay?
Thank you, sir.
So,
thank you.
Now, let us proceed with the giving of certificate. PISI 21, or the Philippine Institute of 21st Century Educators Incorporated, Zaraga, Iloilo, Philippines, in cooperation with I4Core Incorporated, or Industry 4.0 Comprehensive Organization of Revitalized Educators, awards this Certificate of Recognition to Michael B. Dizon, EDD, PhD, for imparting his invaluable time, resources, and expertise as resource speaker on the topic, Revisiting Quantitative Research Towards a New Perspective, during the conduct of National WebCon for the 21st Century Researchers and Educators with the theme Responding to the Challenges of Internationalization Amidst Difficult Times Through Research in the Academe. Accorded this 21st day of August 2021 via Zoom video conferencing, live streamed on POMI YouTube channel and PISI Facebook page. Signed, Ricky A. Kibinko, MAT MLPT WebCon Director. Signed, Jerry P. Hobacon, MIT LPT National President of I4Core Incorporated. And signed by Emmy John P. Indonila Palmani, MED LPT National President of PISI 21. Again, a virtual round of applause to Dr. Michael B. Dizon for making this web conference, the second part of the second day, a successful one. Doc, we are looking forward to seeing you again on future gatherings of PISI 21.
Okay.
With that, may I request everyone now to kindly open your camera for a quick photo op. Okay, at the count of 10, all of your faces, should be visible in the screen. Okay.
Hi, Sir Mike. We miss you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, Sir John, can we have now the technical team?
Okay, so good afternoon everyone. So as usual, smile lang ng smile. And we have 5 panels. Okay, so sa panel 1, so ready 1, 2, 3, and smile. Okay? Keep smiling lang po mga ma'am. Okay, so ready 1, 2, 3, and smile. Okay, so panel 3, so 1, 2, 3, and smile. Okay, funnel 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and smile. And the last panel, so 1, 2, 3, and smile. Okay, so thank you guys.
Okay, we are finally done with the second day of our webcon, and we still have 2 more topics left tomorrow on our last day of the web conference. Again, stay safe everyone. God bless and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Again, I am Mr. Roselbre and Dicasela. Stay safe and see you tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Doc.
Madam, magandang salamat.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Doc Mike.
Thank you. God bless you.
Bless everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Tomorrow.
We have those who are asking about the evaluation form. The link, the evaluation was forwarded to you, I guess, together with the other forms. And we also have it here, I guess. So the technical team, we will also be forwarding it to you also, more likely, prior to the end of the day. To those who cannot access it. I guess the technical team is now working on it, ma'am, now.
Okay, it cannot be open po.
Okay, ma'am. We will have the confirmation on how to properly open the link, especially to those who are struggling opening it. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you din po.
Ito Dan, say hi. Hi. Hi.
The link can be opened na po.
Wow, very good.
To those who cannot open it, make sure again that you're using your own email account or email address for you to properly open it. Okay, thank you. Thank you
very much po.
Show them your beautiful eyes. Say bye-bye. Ayaw. Bye-bye na po ha. Gavi, no.